Good morning, gardeners. Thought I would show you our compost pile in progress here. We've taken off the front. This is about 10 weeks old. We topped it out about 4 weeks ago, but we started adding just the very first part in early March. And I just saw a mouse that was in there. Did you see him? Yeah, field mouse. We don't want them hanging around too much because they might get into the garden and eat, but this is a treasure trove for them. Now you can see the layers that are building up down here. I will get a little closer. So that's the layer that went in when we first started this, late March. We were piling up brown matter on the ground, had a little layer of twigs and then newspaper. And then we have alternating layers of green, brown. You can see here this is old grass clippings. Here's some old paper. And you can see the layers and how they are composting nicely. And we have the temperature gauge, which is reading well over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Nice. Well into the active zone. So that means that the microbial action is still strong in there. And you can see what a beautiful dark layer that's beginning to get on the bottom. Now this isn't ready yet. What we will have to do is turn it. One of the things that's helping us out is this layer of cardboard. This is just a cardboard box from when I bought a new mower. That's acting as an insulator, and it also absorbs the first layer of any rain that might sneak in from the edges. Now we want a little water to get in, and if you look at the edges, you can see that right in here there are gaps, and that's so that air can get into the pile. Remember, microbes need moisture, but they also need air. They need oxygen. And this is an aerobic activity with oxygen. When you get a compost pile that begins to smell, that's anaerobic, and it is decomposing without oxygen, and that's where you get the stink. This stuff, if I took some right now, it smells kind of like a forest floor. That is magnificent. Really decomposing nicely, and that's going to be fine nutrition for our garden. We will have to turn it once. Once this goes down from the active stage, down below about 100, then it's in what we call the steady state stage. This would allow more regular creatures such as earthworms, centipedes, things like that to come in and start doing the final breakdown process, but we don't want that just yet. Down here, yes, but up here we need to turn it so that this will cook more at high temperatures. That will also reintroduce oxygen into the pile, because just the act of turning it will aerate it. We'll also be able to wet down that top because it's a little dry, as you can see right here. But this is still nice and moist. Right down here, very moist still, and it does not have any odor at all. Now if you look over here, you'll see some fungus beginning to form, and we want fungal activity in there. Remember, it's the mycorrhizal fungi that are a key driver to plant growth. The mycorrhizal fungi help guide the roots of the plant to nourishment in the soil. And it's a mutually beneficial operation, because once the roots get to nutrients, they will give the mycorrhizal fungi some of their sugars that the plant will be making. And so the fungi will grow right on the tip. So if this were the root, the fungi would be coating the outside of it like this, with tendrils going down farther, guiding the root to better nutrition. I'm going to place this in a different area to see if the temperature is higher or lower. And we'll let that go for about 20-30 seconds. And while we're watching that temperature gauge, we'll take a look at one other item I wanted to show you. We used this mesh, very thin, there it is, Gives about 4 degrees of protection in the winter, but right now we're using it for insect protection. We lost 2 of our summer squash. This is a crookneck variety. But as you can see, now that we have them covered up, how beautiful this guy has become. This second one really has a lot of buds, and we've got some nice ones forming in there. Here and there. I've also been hand pollinating them. You can see a few that are beginning to form right in here. Some I might have gotten to, some maybe not. But the idea here is to keep squash bugs off, and more importantly, vine borers. Now, vine borers have been an absolute nightmare for us. We lost 2 plants. There's the remnant of one right there. Pulled up the other one. We also have these 2 young plants here and here. And in order for them to get a chance to grow up like this one, we have to keep the vine borers from laying eggs, and they will lay an egg right about here, right on the surface. It's a small reddish egg, easy to miss. As you can see, imagine trying to find a vine borer egg and all of that, you see. But on the young plants, we just look, and it's hard to distinguish because what you think is an egg may not be. See, right in the crook there, it's just a little piece of dirt, and you go, oh, it's an egg. Hard to tell, isn't it? So, in this case, just using the mesh, and as you see, I just have it rolled back here. Having the mesh on will allow the airflow to go through the mesh. Rain will also penetrate the mesh, but the bugs can't get through. And then it's just a simple job to bring it back over the top. A lot of people make a mistake of trying to roll this up very tightly on the bottom, and I would like to show you what I do. Here's the end of it, and I want the top, I will go back and forth until just the top layer is what we hold this down with. Why? If the bricks or the rocks or whatever you're using begin to damage the mesh, and it will eventually, we only want to hurt that last few inches. If you roll it up, any damage you do will occur farther out on the mesh and actually make a hole maybe a foot or more away from the edge, and that you cannot recover from. Now you've got a giant hole in your mesh. See there? So let the ends of your row cover be what your weights are resting on. That way any damage done occurs only on the very end of your cover, and that way you won't damage the whole thing. You can just cut a few inches off and it'll still, as you can see, be very wide. And you see what's happened. We stopped a bug from getting through. He got trapped in the cover, and that, as they say, is all she wrote. Now, this is not a perfect solution. Little things can crawl in on the edges as you look down underneath here. And there's a spider. Feast away, buddy. Get bad things. People are scared of spiders. They're one of your best allies. Now let's go back and check our temperature now that we've given the thermometer a chance. And that area is about 116 degrees. I am not displeased. Very active, even in the core. And you can feel the heat on the end. Yes. Good. So I hope this helps. 3 months. It's about halfway through the process. We'll be turning it soon. And look how far it's come down. We had it filled to the edge right here, and it has collapsed over a foot. This is just the consolidation. As it decomposes, it also becomes a lot thicker on the bottom through weight and just microbial action. So you can start with a 4 by 4 by 4 foot bed and end up with only about 18 to 24 inches, about 1.5 to 2 feet of product. But remember, if this is 2 feet high and 4 feet by 4 feet, that is 16 cubic feet of compost that we'll get. Try to buy that in the store and you'll find that you will be paying, if you buy by the bag, that'd be a $40 or $50 worth of compost. Our second bin over here, as you can see, it's pretty new, and this is the combination bin. We have both animal byproducts, in this case horse manure, and lawn trimmings. And here you can see the thermometer just going up crazy. We measured it in some spots at 150 degrees earlier this morning. Now this is very much dependent upon where you are. This is new material that was placed on after the measurement this morning, and the odd effect of that is it may cause the reading to go down, because this stuff was just at ambient temperature in the 80s, and you put that on something that's 150 and it'll act like it's 70 degrees cooler. It'll act like a refrigerant. But as you can see, the temperature's already climbed above 120, and if it goes into that gray area, it's considered hot, and that means that we're really cooking the pathogens out of it, so we're reducing the disease in there, and it's also killing any weed seeds. And there we go, past 131 Fahrenheit, 55 Celsius. That's the area. As you can see, we're getting close to 140 here already. So this is hot inside, and this will begin to really brown it, cook it. You will actually sometimes see a little bit of what looks almost like smoke. It's probably steam coming out if you pull it beside. Yes, right there, 140. So this pile is very new. The insulation helps. You can see how it doesn't have to be fancy to be effective. Composting. It's the way of taking waste, in this case garden waste, animal manure, old newspapers, things like that, and turning it into valuable food for your garden. All right, folks, please like and share, and remember, you can grow your own food. Thanks so much.